Good evening, good evening. Welcome to Thursday Night Saws. Hopefully we got the word out. There'll be some people joining us tonight. We are in Newport Richey, Florida. We're doing some training with the Southwest Florida Water Management District, and down here this week, and end up Saturday we're going to be having a little workshop with Amsler's Saw Shop, and it's going to be the annual Saw Safety Day. So we're down here till Saturday afternoon anyway, and head back home. But I hope I've got a pretty decent connection here tonight. Everything says it's pretty good. Hopefully anybody hear me okay and everything coming through pretty good? Hopefully. So I think I've got all the chat stuff up, and hopefully we have some taking part here. Just wanted to kind of hook up here tonight and just talk about some things of chainsaw. I've got pretty good news this week as far as the steel hexa saw chain. I got one of their production chains came in from distributor, and it looks really good. Actually, I got a 3/8 50 gauge 84 drive links, fit the 24-inch or 25-inch guide bar, and I was a little surprised to see that. I had originally heard that it was going to be 63 gauge only in the 3/8 full profile, but that one came through 3/8 50 gauge, so I'm kind of excited. Maybe they're going to have several different configurations that they've decided to bring in. But it looks like it's still going to be March before any supplies and information gets out to the dealers. Hey, Aubrey Ford, how are you this evening? Hope everything is well where you are. It is fantastic here in Newport Richey, Florida. We had 81 degrees yesterday and 84 degrees today, and just beautiful weather. Started out about 65 or something like that, and then almost got to sweating a little bit this afternoon. But it went. Hopefully tomorrow's the same. Hope I don't have rain come in, although there's some threats of it for tomorrow, and then clearing back up, I think, for Saturday for our demo with Amsler Saw. Hey, Wayne Rowan. Yeah, I'm glad he sent the 50 gauge, and I'm anxious that it is going to be in several different configurations, because, like I say, the first ones I heard was a 63 gauge. So anything going on up your way with I guess you're a little bit farther west than some of the storms that are coming across. You didn't get any ice or snow off of this. I think you're down in Oklahoma or something, yeah. Did have pretty good connection tonight. Everything looked pretty clear and sound good. Laura's on there moderating, so she dropped some notes if you hear anything or something doesn't come through good. Well, they didn't send me any more files, Aubrey. I was anxious when I got home Saturday to check the mailbox, and it was the new packaging on the chain, and the 84 drive link 50 gauge 3/8 hexa, but it didn't have a file in there. Had a handle, so we're getting closer. But no, I think shouldn't be too many more weeks. It should start. I think this hexaground chain is going to be pretty cool sharpening in the field. I think it's going to help a lot of people to be able to keep the proper angles and not get too much hook. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things I see is, people have too much hook, holding the file too low, and trying to make sure you get the gullet out, which is important in some cases, but making sure that you hold that up so the chisel angle is correct also, and doesn't hook in that area. And this is going to kind of be its own guiding file, so that's a pretty cool thing. I think it's going to help a lot of new users to be able to do it. Although it's the chain came through the boxing and everything, and it doesn't have the X series drive link where it comes up beside the depth gauge. It looks like the old 33 RS as far as the configuration on the tooth, and then the way it's ground, the gullet is really kind of very flat, so the file sits right there on that flat surface. So it's set up pretty cool. I think it's gonna work very, very well. I took some pictures, some good close-ups and stuff like that, and I'm working. Maybe by this weekend I'll have a little video out on it, so showing what the chain looks like new, the production unit. So it's quite a sharp looking chain, no pun intended. Yeah, I don't know, the square filing, chisel bit square filed is very fast and smooth cutting, but it does take a good grinder setup or somebody that has practiced with the file. I think this hexa is going to be a lot easier for people to accomplish, probably even, I think, more so than the round filed. I think it's going to be much easier for the average person to be able to put the edge and keep it on the chain. I'm hoping that Ferd or somebody will actually come up with an adapted version of the Chain Sharp, or like Steel's 2-in-1 tool, to be able to hold the file, because I think it'd be very easy to be able to do on that. So hopefully they will be working on that situation. Let's see, Aubrey, you said, when you told me to stand the saw up on its end, really helped me on my sharpening. Are you square filing, Aubrey, or are you just round filing it? Because either way, I mean, I found it to work pretty good in that vertical position, especially in the field. You can always be able to find a log or a limb or something to be able to lean it up on and get your kind of set the saw up as your top angle, and then you can see that whole surface, and you can see when you have the file too low or too high or a little bit left or right, and it makes a big difference to be able to see that. So you're touching that whole surface, and then once you practice it that way just a little bit, you could flip the saw back down flat or go to a vise or whatever, and you'll have that same feel. That's the biggest thing, is to be able to take, and go through there, and whether you twist, a lot of people twist the arm as they go through, and it does kind of straighten the arm out. I kind of just go straight, but you put yourself in line with that, and once you got that feel of where it is in the tooth, it starts to get pretty accurate. And so but then it can also, I use the Ferd tool actually in that position quite often also, because you can, once you get the tooth back, say 50% or better, you can really see what you have in the chisel angle and the cutting angles, so you maintain that proper top plate angle and all. let's see. So you're still working on both of them, round and square. Yeah, definitely that the 345s in that vertical position. I've been doing that for years and years, and Soren always used the upright file position back in the 70s when he was doing the training in Scandinavia and stuff, and his instructors and himself, they would set up a pretty neat thing. They would fell some small trees to set kind of a corral, and that's where they did most of their maintenance and the sharpening. It was really a neat system that he would set up for that, and then that gave you the ability to lean the saws up and practice it. And he had a round file at that time. He really didn't start chisel bit filing till he got to the States and started working with Weyerhaeuser a little bit. But the round file that he had, I don't know if you've ever seen those, it was a double-ended round file. So you had filed cutting teeth on the entire surface with a small break in the middle. And the handle that he had looked like kind of like a torpedo, and you would twist it, untwist it, and put the file into it and then lock it down. It was a very comfortable ergonomic style handle. And then you had the 25-degree fin on one side and a 30-degree fin on the other side. And so as you filed through, it was about 6 inches, I guess, of exposed file, and it would take, and it really helped you to be able to keep it straight. And he always sharpened with the saw upright, leaning on something, and he was very quick at it. I mean, you could take and go through that. And then he always used the flat file plate. That's what he always used to set the depth gauges, and so it worked very fast. But you had to have two tools. So when we started doing a lot of the game of logging stuff, we started to kind of show the chisel bit filed chain, square filed, and so we started pushing that. And even had I got Ziegelmeyer, actually, their machines, and then also the Sylvies, and then later on we even had one of the Symingtons. And so it once you start using that square ground chain, it's pretty smooth and fast. So let's see, Wayne, have we been taking too much gullet out, Tim, on the round filing? Been leaving a little in and seems to work better. Ponger, I don't know what that word is. Wayne, you can explain that. But actually, if you look at how the tooth cuts in slow motion, and that's what I hope to do as soon as I get a file, some more files on the Hexa. I'm gonna put together a slow motion video, and that's something that one of the steel techs had years ago when we were working on the reactive force video showing kickback and all, and did a very good. It's like 186 frames per second, I think it was, or frames per minute. No, 186, yeah, 186 frames a second, and it basically slowed down. And I've got the camera equipment to do it, and I'm going to set up one and show how the hexafiled chain works on that. But if you look at the main reason to take the gullet out, if you look at how the tooth cuts and goes up and down and then back and forward, side to side, the gullet area really doesn't touch the chip. It kind of comes out as a ribbon if the tooth is sharpened properly, and more or less it just has the thickness of the chip. Out of the box they're 25 thousandths. A lot of people take them to 30, maybe 32, 35 thousandths below. But when you get more than that, it takes a big saw to pull it. But at 25 thousandths, you're taking a ribbon out that's about 25 thousandths of an inch, and that's out of the box type chain. And the gullet, though, as you file back, you'll notice, especially on semi chisel, but also on full chisel chain, the actual side plate sticks out some as you start to file it back. So if you don't take that gullet bottom area out, you'll end up with a point on the tooth, and then you'll have almost kind of a point down at the base of the tooth, and that sticks out past the side plate, especially on semi chisel and some full chisels. And so if you don't take that out, as the tooth is in the kerf and it starts to go sideways, it basically keeps the point from making contact on the your next cut. And so if you take that gullet out, then that moves the that side of the plate back behind the point of the tooth, so the tooth actually reacts as it should in the fiber. So that's kind of the process, but it's not really necessary on all chains to take that gullet out, in my opinion anyway, and looking at how it's worked over the years. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. You're not really weakening anything. It's just an added file strokes that's not necessary, and really only necessary when you get back past about half of the top of the tooth. Yeah, so it's been leaving in a little, and it seems to work better. Longer is the word. Okay, so I didn't catch that ponger or longer, but I got it now, Wayne. But yeah, the taking the gullet out, you will end up with less tooth length to be able to work with in the long term. If you think about it, that from the point down, I always talk about it being a visual of 90 degrees. Let me see here. I might even have I think I've got. No, but I can draw it in here real quick. If you think about. Maybe I'm not. So you're looking at with your file in there 90 degrees from the point down to where the file rests, and then that perpendicular to the bar. When that tooth cuts, the depth gauge kind of hits, and then the point bites in here, and then basically the tooth rocks back. So when you see it in slow motion, let me see if I can get another color here. That chip, kind of starts here and goes down like a ribbon out underneath, and your chisel angle actually takes and scrapes it out. And so if you look at that, it's I'll get a little wider picture here. So if you can kind of picture that chip flow is going to be down, and then your top plate, as it comes down here, and you got a little bit of an offset like this, in this area right here at the gullet area, that's what's going to take and stick out. And so you got your points here, and then this, as you file back, kind of sticks out past the point. So when you take that gullet out, that's what you're doing. You're reducing the resistance in that kerf. But if you've got your side plate set up correctly, as that rocks back, it doesn't really affect that area that much. So that's kind of the situation there. So I don't know if I've got too much on the microphones here now. It looks like I've got two of them going on. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully everybody still hear me. But when I went to the iPad, let's see, webcam. Okay, should be working okay. So let's see here. Hopefully that explains something there, Wayne. And so if you think about it, as you file that back, if you take the gullet out too low, then more or less you're gonna run out of side plate too quick. So Aubrey say EXL or 33RS do you run the most? Most of what I run, I use Oregon 72 LGX is what I've been running for past few months. Other than the Hexa chain, the 33RS is what I've used a lot of on the steel chains in the past. Who is the best chainsaw company in your opinion? That's Patrick Pollard. Okay. Yeah. Good evening, Patrick. I haven't had you on before, I don't think, have I? So anyway, a good question, and my answer to that has always been that chainsaws don't make chainsaws, people do. And I can tell you that if you stay with top 3 or 4 brands of steels and Husqvarna, which I use both now, but if you stay with those top brands and Echo and those, they all have great products. Now there are some weaknesses and changes in different model sizes and stuff, but if you go size for size, same size saw, you're probably going to end up with a pretty good cutting piece of equipment. But what I see to be one of the biggest challenges is whatever brand you go with, you've got to have a good dealer behind you. It's something to where eventually, no matter what you've got, you're going to have parts and service for that particular saw. And so that's the reason why I say, chainsaws don't make chainsaws, people do. You got to have people behind it. And the Steels and Husqvarna, they are great companies. And so I've kind of stuck with that over the years. But the biggest thing is the areas that you go or wherever you are, you're going to eventually need parts and service. So some areas I go have got really strong Husqvarna dealers. Some areas I go have got really strong steel dealers. And so that's something to consider. You've got to have good service and parts behind you if you're really going to make it happen. So that's my answer. Let's see, Wayne. Tim, I was filing the gullet too deep and getting too much hook. Yes, sir. I see that very often in the field, especially with the